Hey y'all, the usual routine. Somebody let me know if I'm coming through. If you can hear me, just give me a yes or a thumbs up or anything. Excellent. Very good. Thank you, Max. Um, I saw a couple of people saying something odd that I was trying to figure out before we came on. Someone said something about this is a non Patreon video. Did I post this so that people outside of Patreon are seeing it? I don't know. I mean, it would take you forever to type it out and tell me. Excellent. Anyway, thank you, Jacob. Nick says yes. Max says I don't get it either. Yeah, me either. I'm not sure what's going on. And I saw Taekwondo guy says, "Is this a live or a premiere?" I don't know what those things are. Hmm. And we have more people than we normally have. Nick says it showed up on YouTube, not Patreon. That is very strange. Very strange. Okay, so I'm going to jump right into this because we're only going to be on here for about 30 minutes, but we're going to pick back up exactly where we left off last time when we were talking about astral projection. Oh, Christina Dakini says you are live on YouTube. Well, guys, I did not know I was doing that. That was a complete accident. Wow. Okay. Thank you. Thank you, Max. I did not know that. I did not mean to do that. So if you are joining us on YouTube this time, I guess thank you for being here. Uh, I was trying, I must have did something by mistake, but I was trying to just pick up where we left off in our Patreon series where we've been talking about astral projection. And I would if you don't, well, I was going to say I would highly suggest if this is the first one you're hearing, I would highly suggest going back and listening to the others to get caught up on this, where we're talking about what astral projection is, what it is not, all that sort of stuff. But if you're not on Patreon, you're not going to be able to see it. But for those of you that are joining us here, thank you for joining us. This is very strange. We'll see how it goes. So when we left off last time, what we were talking about are like the preliminary practices that you do to get ready for astral projection. And I talked about what worked for me, what didn't work for me, and we're kind of going through this book for those of us who, or for those of you who aren't normally with us. The book that I'm working from and that I've suggested everybody get if they want to go through this on their own is a very simple, easy to read book called Astral Projection for Beginners by Eden McCoy. And the reason that I suggested this is because it is one that I used while I was in prison. This was one of the books that I found to be very instrumental in finally helping me accomplish this. It was not an overnight easy thing to do. I tried for about 2 years before I finally experienced any kind of success whatsoever with these techniques. So I'm kind of trying to cut some of that out and give people a head start on things that are going to help them. But what we were talking about last time, and this is one of the things I've talked about that kind of didn't work for me, but you might want to try it anyway, because like I've said a million times, different things are going to work for different people. But we were talking about how you first lay down, go through the relaxation process, go completely from the top of your head down to your feet, relaxing your entire body, releasing any stress or tension or any of that you're holding in yourself. Because if you're holding stress or tension in your physical body, it's going to draw your attention to that part of your body. And if your attention is focused on your physical body at all, it's going to be very, very difficult to do this, to focus on, projecting your awareness anywhere other than your physical body. So go through the relaxation process. That's step number one. Step number two the method that we were covering last time, what I said did not work for me, but that I still highly recommend you try because it might work for you. The same thing that worked for me might not work for you, and what works for you might not work for me. So give it a try. Um, but he talks about, or she, I'm not sure, Eden, it could be a woman, Edane. It sounds kind of Irish or Scottish, not sure. But you know exactly that you do exactly the same thing that you do when you're invoking angels. Whenever you do like the LBRP or the lesser invoking ritual of the pentagram, and you invoke the 4, or in our case 6 angels all around you, Raphael before you, Michael behind you, Raphael before you, Gabriel behind you, Michael on your right hand, Uriel on your left hand, Metatron above, Sandalphon below. Whenever you do this, you know how you inhale and you see the angel expand in its appropriate colors and whatnot in front of you. You're going to do the same thing, only you're going to be laying down completely relaxed. And whenever you do this, instead of an angel, what you're going to be picturing is an image of yourself made of light. An image of yourself made of light is going to expand next to you. Wherever you're laying and relax, it's going to expand next to you. Inhale a few times. Keep inhaling. Remember, every time you inhale, what you're doing is pulling in chi from the universe around us. Inhale, pull in that chi, but instead of pulling it into your physical body, every time you inhale, you're going to see that image of yourself made of light glow brighter and brighter and brighter. He says in this, remember, and I'm going to start reading just a short recap of things that we read last time. Let me see. Give me 1 second. I'm looking for the part that we need. Okay, when you feel that you are where you need to be mentally, you're ready to begin building your body of light. You should already have a clear picture of the form you wish it to take. And what he's talking about there, for those of you who have never been with us before, when he's saying a clear picture of the form you wish it to take, usually people will use an idealized form of themselves. Like you might be a little younger, you might be in a little better shape. I always say that my hairline is as thin as my patient's. Maybe your hair is a little thicker. You look like you did in the prime of your life. That's the thing about it. You can, make it have any appearance that you want it to have because you're basically building this vehicle and it's entirely up to you. But that's what he's talking about, the form you wish it to take, an idealized version of yourself. A few feet away from your resting physical body, imagine this body of light starting to take shape. Project into it not only your own mental energy, but also energy that you draw from either the earth beneath you or the sky above. This is an old occult trick. You never deplete your own energy stores when undertaking any occult endeavor, but rely instead on those found in nature, in Mother Earth and the eternal sky above you to help fashion your desire. To do this, just make a mental connection with the source that you wish to draw from, and then visualize a stream of energy moving from it into the object, such as the body of light that you are charging. Don't concern yourself with obstructions like floors and ceilings. The divine energy inherent in creation, which you seek to draw energy from, cannot be impeded by something as comparatively insubstantial as the structural components of your home. So we read that last time. The reason I reread it just now, just to kind of refresh your memory a little bit, what we talked about, how to do it, how I've talked about using, like this is a very, very simple, easy thing to do that I use all the time whenever I'm trying to consecrate or bless something with divine energy, infuse it with divine energy, whatever it is. You just close your eyes, direct your attention to the top of the universe, and at the very top of the universe, you see this brilliant, bright white light. You inhale several times, and every time you inhale, you see this white light at the top of the universe glow brighter and brighter white. You hold and you exhale. When you exhale, the air goes out, but the energy stays in. After you've done that several times, building up that mental image that and the energy of the light above you, whenever you inhale the last time, you're going to see a shaft of light come down from that source at the top of the universe, all the way down through the universe, and it's going to completely surround and saturate that image of yourself that you have projected standing next to you. You're infusing it with divine energy. You are blessing it, consecrating it, and empowering it with divine energy. Now, the reason I wanted to bring that up and talk about that again is because I wanted to tell you one of the things that really made astral projection click into place for me, the way I was finally able to start doing it. What I started doing was doing the middle pillar in the body of light. So whenever you've got this image of yourself standing next to the bed or standing next to the chair or wherever it is that you're relaxing, you're going to try not to focus on your physical body. Instead, you are going to try to put your mind, your consciousness into the body of light next to you. The way you're going to do that, you know how I beat you over the head repeatedly talking about tactile sensation, tactile sensation, tactile sensation. You've got to add tactile sensation. This isn't just about visualization. This is about making yourself feel something. The more of your senses that you can bring into the process, the more powerful the results you're going to get. Tactile sensation is one of those things that you add to it that increases the potency of whatever it is that you're doing magically. By tactile sensation, what I mean is you are going to try to the best of your ability to feel as if you are in that body of light. How do you do that? First, focus on your feet. Try to feel your feet standing on the floor. Don't pay any attention to your body laying on the bed. Try to feel the way it would feel if your feet were standing on the floor. Do you have carpet in your room? Is it hardwood floors? Maybe if it's, like I was in a prison cell, it's concrete on the floor, whatever it is, try to feel the floor beneath your feet. Then start using that body to try to feel things around you, like the wall. Like walk over to the wall and try to feel what it would feel like to walk in this body. Don't just visualize that you're there at the wall. Try to make yourself go through the process. Walk over to the wall, raise your hands, and start to move them up and down the wall. Try to feel, don't see it like you're in your body looking at it. Try to see it as if you are actually there in it, doing it. What would the wall feel like beneath the palms of your hands? Is it smooth? Is it coarse? Is it cold? Is it warm? Is it grainy? Whatever, is there wallpaper? Is it wood with paint on it? Whatever it is, try to make yourself feel that beneath your hands. That's adding the tactile sensation of it. Third step, start doing the middle pillar. Just like he said, we don't use our own energy whenever we're doing this stuff. We always use energy that we draw from outside sources. He said, or she, I'm not sure who it is. I'm not sure if it's a man or a woman writing this book. I'm looking at the back now. Oh, it says her decades-long career. So it is a woman. Yeah. But what you're going to do is, number one, you're going to have to be proficient at the middle pillar by this point, or it's not going to work. This is not, when you get to this point, you're not going to be able to sit there with a book in your hand reading off the divine names. You're going to need to know by heart where each of these spheres is in your body, what color each of these spheres is, and what the divine names associated with each of these spheres are. So you're going to do the middle pillar, not in your physical body, but try to see it and feel it in the body of light. Like when you see that light at the top of the universe and that shaft of light comes down and forms that brilliant, crystal white sphere at the crown of your head. See and feel it in the body of light, like you are standing there and you can see it. You inhale, it glows brighter. Hold, exhale, the air goes out, but the energy stays in. Inhale and see it glow even brighter. Hold. After you've done that about 4 times, then you're going to start vibrating the divine name. Do not do it with your physical mouth. If you do, it's going to automatically snap your focus and attention from the body of light back to your physical body. And that's going to destroy the whole process. The hardest part of this, you hear all these horror stories and whatnot, all this cheesy stuff about you might get trapped outside of your body and some ghost might take over all that crazy stuff. None of that is even remotely true. You're never going to get stuck outside your body. The hardest part is maintaining concentration outside your body. Like the second that slips and you focus back on your physical body, then your consciousness is in your physical body anyway. So you're going to go through the entire process of doing the middle pillar. This is the next stage, honestly, of doing ritual work in traditions like the Golden Dawn. You know how first you learn what Gannicus calls the neophyte battery, the middle pillar, the LBRP, the Rose Cross, the lesser hexagram ritual, all of that stuff. You do that every day. And then you're going to, after you have completely and absolutely memorized and mastered the ability to do them physically, then you're going to start doing them astrally. I don't mean just visualizing them in your head, like visualizing that you're going around doing them. I mean exactly what we're talking about now, where you're projecting yourself into the physical, into the light body and trying to feel as if you're there. You're going to try to feel yourself walking around the room. You're going to feel your arm moving and drawing a hexagram or drawing a pentagram of light. You're going to inhale and feel yourself. When you invoke an angel, you're invoking an angel in front of the body of light, not in front of the physical body that's laying or resting wherever you're laying or resting, but in front of the form that you're inhabiting. That's the second part of doing this. Now, this is what I mean about you read all these fantastic stories about how amazing astral projection is, and they go off into all these other worlds and do all this kind of stuff. To really get efficient at this, it's the same way as everything else. You've got to practice. You've got to do it over and over and over. And anything you do like that is going to get monotonous and it's going to get boring. I honestly don't find anything even remotely fascinating or exciting or enjoyable about astral projection whatsoever. Not anymore. When it was still new to me years and years ago, when I was in prison, it was kind of interesting in the beginning. It was kind of amazing because you're experiencing something, number one, that, it's not anything like the way people describe it in the new age woo-woo, witchy magic world. It's not you're going to come out of your body and fly around like Superman or any of that kind of stuff. It is much, much more subtle, and you are doing repetitive, monotonous tasks, doing, the same thing you've been doing in your physical body. LBRP, middle pillar. Yeah. MTF gang says it is quite commonplace. Yeah, it is. It's not any super exciting thing, to be honest. What was my point? Where was I going with that? But that's the next phase of it, is just trying to get yourself into this physical body. I'm going to keep reading because we've only got about 10 minutes or so left. I'm going to keep reading. Oh, and remember last time where I ended at, I was talking about how you always want to close the ritual down properly. And this is a ritual, even though it's not, super, strict and, it doesn't look like a ritual. It's still a ritual technically, because you're every time you do it, you're going through the same process. You're doing the same things. Yeah, that Max has a good way of putting it. Max says it's very ephemeral from a sensory standpoint, like a variety of different impressions that you try to tune into and expand upon. That's exactly it. He says it's very ephemeral from a sensory standpoint. The reason for that, and the reason I said it's not very exciting, it's kind of boring, all that, what he means, like it's very ephemeral from a sensory standpoint, there are no physical receptors in the body of light. So like the way things feel out here, like one of the most amazing things about being in the physical world is the sense of taste. We get to taste things like pizza and hot chocolate, all kinds of ice cream. We have these amazing senses that are connected to the physical body. Well, if you don't have a physical body, you do not possess those same kinds of senses in the body of light. It has other kinds of senses, but your pure consciousness does not have physical senses. And that's what I mean by, it's just, this stuff isn't to, I'm gonna be honest with you, this stuff isn't very interesting to me. It's one of those things you kind of have to learn at some point, but it's not incredibly interesting to me. For some people, they love it. I say tarot is not interesting to me either. Some people absolutely love tarot. To each their own. Maybe this is something that you're absolutely going to love. Who knows? But anyway, let me keep going. The last thing we talked about last time was closing down the ritual. What I mean by closing down the ritual is absorbing the body of light. Even if you think that you have not had any success at this, and do not expect that this is going to work for you the very first time. Like I said, I probably tried for 2 years, but part of the reason it took me for so long, 2 to 3 years, part of the reason it took me so long is because I was expecting something different from what it actually was. I was expecting something more along the lines of all the cosmic woo-woo stuff that people talk about. Yeah, Max says it's so subtle that most people just ignore it. Exactly. Everybody is psychic, but since the sense organ for it is internal, it's not immediately obvious. Thus, it's been easy to program us to ignore. That's it exactly. Yeah. And it's kind of like, like people want to eat bad food because it tastes better. When you're talking about food that's got a lot of salt and fat, and when you're talking about, like, for example, a nice big cheesy pizza versus a stem of broccoli, we tend to want the thing that we receive the most sensory pleasure from. It's just our nature. But anyway, my point is, what you're going to always do to close down, whether you're trying this technique or another technique, where we stopped last time was talking about absorbing the body of light. And the way you're going to do that is you're going to visualize that you are in that body, and you are going to come over and you are going to merge back with your physical body when you're finished. You're going to lay down and you're going to see and feel your head and your face going into your head and face, your arms going into your arms, your legs going into your legs. You're going to merge back into the physical body. Even if you feel like nothing happened, it's still important. The first time I was ever successful, I did not think anything was actually happening. I thought, once again, it's just another failure. I didn't realize I was achieving any success until I merged back with the body when I was finished. When I did that, I felt something click into place. It was like the only thing I'll ever be able to compare it to or articulate it as, it was like a Ziploc baggie. Like I just zipped a Ziploc baggie into place and sealed something. That's what I felt in my physical body. Up until that moment, I thought I wasn't experiencing any success whatsoever. When that happened, it was that feeling of, oh my God, I was actually doing something. This isn't all just in my head. It's not actually fake. But anyway, I want to read this to you because this is about merging back with the body. Oh, you know what? I'm going to read you where he's talking about transferring your consciousness into the body of light. I'm going to read you what he says, how to do that, just to give you his. Oh, I'm sorry, I keep saying his. It's her. To give you her viewpoint and her instructions instead of just my own abbreviated ones. So I'm going to read the whole thing through. Hold on. You're now ready to transfer your consciousness into this body of light, which is where your mind conditioning exercises are useful. And the mind conditioning exercises are in chapter 3. Shift your perception from your physical body into the body of light. Don't try to follow it out of your body step by step, like in the always fallible lift out method. What he's talking about, the lift out method, this is what you hear a lot of people describe where they visualize themselves like floating up out of their body and up to the ceiling. I never had that work for me a single time. She's saying most people don't. But that's the lift out method. This can only lead to an overemphasis on the body and not on the astral consciousness. As you feel your consciousness is getting the idea of being elsewhere, allow it to shift itself into the body of light. Once you are able to see your surroundings from the body of light's perspective, you will know you are successful. It may take several attempts before you can sustain this sensation of your consciousness being somewhere else. Test your transfer of consciousness by looking out at your surroundings every few minutes to see from whose point of view they are being seen, your physical bodies or the body of lights. If this is your first attempt at projecting, you may not be able to hold your consciousness in the body of light for long. Don't let this frustrate you. Just keep practicing getting your consciousness shifted into the body of light and keeping it there for as long as possible. And at first, like she's saying, it is hard to keep it entirely, keep your attention and energy focused entirely in the body of light. You're going to waver back and forth. That's completely natural and normal until you get the hang of it. At first, don't try to move away from the spot where your body of light has been formed, meaning don't try to go off on some grand adventure or anything. Just stand there. Stand there and experience where the body of light is. Just allow your consciousness to look around the immediate area from a stationary position. Until you're used to having your consciousness elsewhere, moving it around will likely only send you right back to yourself, and you'll have to begin all over again. But also remember that you are no longer constrained by the limitations of your physical body, and your eyes can swivel around a full 360 degrees to see everything surrounding you without moving your head at all. This is the omniscient sight phenomena mentioned in chapter 4. Sometimes astral projectors will find they view the world this way no matter where they look. Some people find it exciting and liberating, but for others it is disconcerting. If you find this uncomfortable, merely will a hood or hat to be drawn over the back of your mental eyes, and this should put a stop to omniscient sight. So what she's talking about, this sight, once again, you don't have physical eyeballs. You are not seeing with your physical eyes. You are seeing with pure consciousness. You are not constrained by the same limitations that you are in the physical world. In the physical world, your physical eyes have to obey certain laws of physics. That is not the case for pure consciousness. In the physical world, if I want to see what's behind me, I have to turn around and look to see what's behind me. When you're astral projecting, all you have to do is think about looking behind you, and you can look behind you just as easy as you can look in front of you without moving any physical thing. It's because all you are is pure consciousness. Once you're able to maintain your consciousness within the body of light, you can attempt to will it elsewhere. You do not have to methodically follow it out of the area by seeing it move through the ceiling and out over your neighborhood, etc., though you can do this if you like. Simply will yourself to be wherever it is that you want to travel, and you should immediately be taken there by your astral vehicle. Don't worry about slipping out of the body of light at some distant location. If your consciousness leaves the body of light, it will immediately be back in your physical self. When you are finished exploring and are ready to quit, mentally will yourself to be back in the same space in which you created the body of light. Once there, allow your consciousness to return to your physical self. Mentally willing it there is usually all it takes. You can also simply start viewing your surroundings from your physical self's point of view, and that will work too, meaning opening your eyes and start looking at and experiencing the physical world through your physical body. You should now, this is what I meant, you should now dismantle the body of light by visualizing it dissipating and sinking harmlessly into the ground beneath you. In many occult schools, the earth has long been used as a tool for grounding unwanted or excess energies. Some practitioners like to see the body of light being reabsorbed into their own physical bodies. The reasoning behind this has to do with retaining full levels of personal energy and gaining clearer memory of the astral experience. If you want to experiment to see if this works for you, please do. The method is less important than the end result. What is important here is that you take the time to fully dismantle what you've created. When the body of light is gone, begin to regain an awareness of your physical self. Mentally acknowledge the existence of your head and neck, your chest and stomach, and work your way down to your feet. Once you are aware of all these parts, begin to flex your hands and feet and slowly open your eyes. The last step in this returning process is to seal the portal you have created between the physical and astral worlds by doing something to celebrate your corporeal self. Make noise, eat, or do anything else that affirms your physical existence. If you wish, you can touch the ground or visualize excess energy fading away from yourself. You may think that being projected will be a tiring experience, but you will actually be energized by the process and may find it hard to settle down for several hours afterward. For this reason, the grounding of excess energy is important. Don't forget to record your experiences, successes, failures, and other impressions in your magical journal or diary for later reference. So what she just said about how you may feel like rejuvenated and full of energy afterwards, all of that sort of stuff, I did find that to be true. Absolutely true. I felt, when I was in prison, I was eating garbage every day. I did not have fresh air. I did not have sunlight, very little human contact. I felt like crap a lot. And whenever I would do this, it started to kind of replenish me, rejuvenate me, lift me up physically. Like I would feel better for the rest of the day after doing this. But one of the things that I started doing after, like in the Magnum Opus classes, and I think we talked about it on Patreon too, how like when we were talking about, going out in nature and maintaining contact with nature, we told you to go out and circulate energy with a tree, like the Taoist exercises, where they circulate the chi with a tree. I would do that astrally and collect energy from an evergreen tree and then bring that back and circulate it through my body. Yep. Max says, for all the latecomers, the book is Astral Projection for Beginners by Eden McCoy. And this is what it looks like. No. Mountainery says, any thoughts on not being able to get back to the body and just waking up in the astral over and over? No, that's kind of the thing. I mean, you hear all those like cosmic woo-woo stories about that kind of stuff. You are not going to get trapped outside of your body or any of that kind of stuff. That's horror stories from, usually like fundamentalist perspectives or something. That kind of stuff is I will tell you something though. This is the reason that I said merge back with your physical body. When I was learning this from one of my teachers, it was a man named Stephen Mace, and you can probably find a lot of his books on Amazon. But when I was in prison, we used to correspond, for quite a while, and I learned a lot of really interesting stuff from him. But one of the things he was telling me one time about why this is so important to absorb the the body of light is he told me the story about a friend of his. It was a woman that didn't do it, and the next day she couldn't move one of her arms. Like in her physical body, she couldn't lift her arm. It was almost like she had had a stroke or something and could not raise her arm. He said over the course of the next few days, it started working normally again, gradually coming back. But in the beginning, it was pretty scary. If you wake up one day and you can't use one of your arms, it won't move. It's probably going to be pretty terrifying. You can't figure out what's going wrong. But he said as long as she went through the process of reabsorbing the body of light, merging it with her body, she never experienced anything like that again. But you can, have little weird things energy-wise. So the next part that we're going to be covering at this pledge level is called opening your astral eyes, where it's I'll read you the first paragraph just so you see what it is. A variation on this transfer of consciousness method is a practice known as sending out the astral eyes or the watcher. This allows you to gather psychic impressions via your astral self that you can assimilate and analyze at a later time without actually having to make a shift in your consciousness. In other words, even if you are having trouble fully astral projecting, this option for gathering remote information is still open to you. And to be honest, that's the method that I've used more often than not. Just because there's kind of no point in going through the whole process after a while anymore. But I'm going to shut up because I'm getting a little tired and I'm supposed to be resting, and I've already went over the amount of time that I was supposed to be doing this. Once again, I just want to thank you, everybody. I did not mean to do this live on YouTube. That was completely and absolutely an accident. But it was an interesting experience doing this. All right, I'm going to stop for the night. I just want to say thank you to everybody for the support. Wow. I did not even know you could do that. Who was that? Someone, it says just MewTube sent $4.99. That is so strange. I've never seen that before. Wow. Oh, and someone else just sent something. Who is that? Christina Dakini. Oh, thanks, guys. I did not know you could even do stuff like that on here. That is very interesting. I appreciate that very much. That's crazy. Wow. Okay. I'm going to get off of here for tonight. I just want to say thank y'all for, supporting me, for being interested in my work, and for being with me through all these years. It is appreciated very, very much. All right. I will talk to y'all soon. Have a good night, and also Happy New Year.